Talk with the GO MRI Man. Spread the knowledge. Motivate the people.
Visit the MRI Man store on Etsy after the show. Shirts, stickers, and more. Visit the MRI Man store on Etsy after the show. Shirts, stickers, and more.
What's up, everybody? It's Kwame, aka MRI Man. Welcome to the MRI Man podcast. And today, once again, I got Doug on. Say what's up, Doug. How's it going, man?
Hey, good. How's it going, guys?
Cool. Awesome, man. So today we're going to be talking about MRI safety. There's been a lot of incidents going on the last month. I guess it's becoming a reoccurring thing, and we just want to spread the awareness on that, talk about some things, maybe how to avoid this. As you know, time goes on and we're getting busier out there. MRI is getting more common. Unfortunately, these accidents can be more common, man. Let's start off with this one. I'm gonna share my screen, Doug, and I want to just hear your opinion on this. Give me a second. Share screen. And all right, can you see that?
Yes.
All right.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
So we're gonna start off with this one. And by the way, I'm on Tobias Gilk, his LinkedIn page, which I'm pretty sure everybody's following. But if you're not, you should go follow it, because this is a man right here for MRI safety, and he reports on everything. And I get a lot of information here. But as you can see, we have a hospital bed here.
Bed looks like.
Yeah. Clearly, to any MRI tech, I'm sure clearly this looks like a unsafe bed to go in MRI. I mean, what are your thoughts on this when you first saw this, Doug? Like, what were you thinking? Like, first thing?
Shocked. I'm trying to figure out how they got that bed in there. I know it looks like a GE scanner, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much all the GE scanners have detachable tables. I'm scratching my head as why even the bed even came into the room in the first place. Protocol where I worked is, patients that came down from either ICU or the floor, stopped at zone 3, and we would transfer the patient from, either the ICU bed or the inpatient bed. We would slide them over on the MRI table, and then, making sure everything's locked down. And if you wand them, make sure, that there's no leftovers. You never know. Nurses get busy. They leave things on the patient. So, wanding them right before they get into zone 4 isn't a bad idea. I know we did that all the time on every patient. So, and then we would roll them into zone 4. But I'm just speechless on how this got in the scanner. And you can see the gauze lines are drawn on the floor. But I heard this was a tragedy, and people got hurt with this one. A nurse got really injured. And what I heard is the patient slid off the bed, fortunately. So the patient didn't get hurt, but I'm sure it scared the crap out of everybody. I mean, that's violent. I can't imagine the pounding of that noise of that bed going.
Me either. I cannot imagine that. Like, imagine.
It must have shook the floor. It had to shake the whole floor.
I just can't imagine at what speed. I mean, I've seen videos, but I just can't picture a bed this large just like flying in the machine. Like, imagine where it started to pull from, like from right over here, this red line. Did it just boom from there? Like, just force.
I mean, you got your 5 gauze line right
from
there.
There, it started to just pull from there and just
it started
creeping up a little.
Started to creep a little bit.
Right here.
As soon as it hit that red, hit that red line, it was
And
that
this
was
is
it.
like what all kind of
But
force
you know
too,
what?
huh? Just man, just
Oh
incredible.
yeah. And depending if it's a 1.5 or a 3T, it looks like a
Ah,
3T, but it's you know, I'm just wondering because I don't see the MRI bed here.
no,
Do you, Kwame? I don't. So were they? I mean, how are they going to scan this patient?
exactly.
So,
Hmm, that
um,
doesn't make sense. Yeah,
but again, I wasn't in that situation, so I don't know. I mean, the bed could be underneath the ICU bed. I don't know, but I don't see a MRI table.
yeah,
So it looks like it's been
yeah.
detached.
I heard all kind of stories, about this, and it can get twisted around. So I didn't want to get all
Oh
into
yeah,
that,
absolutely.
but yeah, I think the bed was detached. Yeah, but yeah, that
Wow,
happened, and it shook the
tragic.
whole MRI community. And man, I mean, like we don't even transfer. We transfer the patient to our table outside of the MRI computer room, like right outside. We have like this little area. We do it right out
Yes,
there. We don't even do it in the computer area. Like we don't. This bed never comes in
right,
anywhere near our area. But who knows how that place is constructed? But it's no man. Like
right.
I don't even know. Like
That's
this bed
true.
would barely fit into our MRI door too. That's crazy how they brought that in. So
That's
that's
a big
that
bed.
thing's
I mean,
monstrous,
that looks like a big ICU
man.
bed. Um,
Yeah, that happened.
yeah, I that's how we would do it. We had an area specifically where we would transfer our patients, and we had a door between zone 3 and zone 4, so you would actually have to physically open two doors in our department just to get into zone 4. So, um, yeah, wow. My prayers go out to the ones that I got injured, and my gosh, hopefully for a speedy recovery. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Here's another one
here's
here,
another
huh?
one. Another walker. Yeah,
That's a
another
common
walker.
that's like a scooter, a knee scooter thing. You
Yes.
see that? I'm starting to see
Yeah.
that a lot now.
So when you break your leg,
Yeah.
yeah, when you break your leg or injure your leg, yeah, you use that to put the injured leg on top, and you can scoot yourself around.
They snuck that one in there. That's
But
definitely a 3T, huh? This looks like a 3T, the machine I
yes,
worked
that
on.
looks like a premiere. Yeah. But gosh,
There's that
man,
one.
that's
What's this? Nothing there. Oh, here we go. It's like a
oh yeah.
wheelchair type of thing here.
Yeah, one of those outpatient gurney things that patients come in. I see them all the time outside the hospital by surgery and stuff. And in admitting, you see those a lot. They'll roll patients up into wherever they need to go in those. So,
It's not worth it bringing this in, even if
but
you like push it outside the line, the
no,
Gauss line, because I've seen people do that, and
right,
I thought they're crazy. I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, but some of
exactly.
these texts, it's like you can't tell them anything because like they're like, "Oh, I have more experience. I've been doing this for da da da," and I'm just like, "You're nuts for bringing this." Like,
No,
I've
completely.
seen that, and I'm just like, "You are nuts," and I would never. I would just be too paranoid to do anything like that. Like I just
Oh,
can't.
me
I couldn't
too.
do it.
I mean, especially, I mean, I get it. Siemens doesn't have a detachable table, especially with this
Oh,
scanner.
that's
This
the
looks like
reason. There it is.
an
Yeah.
Bronco. So, they were trying to get that chair as close as possible. But I've noticed with Siemens too, you have that little give up until a certain point, and then it just gets
Wow.
very violent, and they'll suck
Jeez.
anything. So, but yeah, I looks like they were trying to get that chair up as close as possible to get to
Mhm.
transfer the patient. But you know, I know, you're busy, doing a double transfer, going from that chair to your MRI, conditional wheelchair and then into the room, and then you got to transfer them again. It's worth it. Please do this. It's not worth, taking that
Mhm.
risk, and, hurting somebody. I don't know, in 31 years, I haven't had an incident. So I've been extremely lucky, and I've had great teams that I've worked with, but it's I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't
Mm.
imagine hurting
Hmm.
a patient
Oh,
or hurting
yeah, that'd be
somebody else.
terrible. But oh, I wanted to tell you really quick before I forgot. Yeah, somebody messaged me and said that they had an incident where a nurse brought in some like scissors or shears or whatever, Um, and nurses are kind of quick to go in the MRI room sometimes, depending on usually never unless they have to be in there to do, I don't know, suction, or I don't know, maybe the patient, something's going on where they have to be next to the patient. But
Right.
yeah, how do you think that could have been prevented? The scissor incident.
That's a great question. Where I worked, we had wands, and then we also had the things around the door, that if someone were to walk through that had any metal, it would beep.
Oh yeah, the little
Um,
metal detector things. Yeah, we have
the
that.
metal
Yeah.
detectors, yeah. So we have them on each door. So um, if anybody, and I think they're great because especially if you're working by yourself too. If you're working with a patient and someone decides to come into zone 4 and it starts beeping, at least it's going to give you some kind of warning that, hey, someone's coming into zone 4 with something that is not supposed to
Hmm.
be in there. So we would, that was kind of our protocol where, if a nurse or anesthesia would come in, um, before we would even start the study, empty your pockets, making sure, and then we would wand them, um, and explain to them, hey, this is really important. You cannot bring anything in. Make sure that you have everything that you need that's in the room, um, for the patient, because after we get started,
Mhm.
that's it. You can't be bringing anything, personal stuff like your stethoscope or scissors or whatever. So, um,
Y- Yeah.
but you try to do whatever you can. Scissors is,
Yeah, it's
obviously,
terrible.
I've heard some many stories on scissors as well. Nurses forget, they get busy. I get it. But it's at the end of the day, it's up to the technologist, to protect the
Mhm.
environment. So
Yeah, so you think, I don't know, because do you think even a lot of times it's like a verbal thing? You're like, "Hey, do you have anything on you?" And they're like, "No." So I'm like,
yes,
would that be enough to cover you in I don't know, an incident report? Probably
I don't
not,
think
huh?
so. No.
Yeah, I think the wanding would be
Um,
the ideal thing, especially if they have a lab coat on or something like that. All those pockets.
exactly, exactly.
What is
That's
going
an
on
interesting
here?
one. The pulley.
What is going on here?
Wow.
IV pole.
Oh
Okay.
yes. Looks like they did a pulley system trying to winch it
Yeah. Do
off.
you recommend that? Doing that? Is that possible?
So there is an instance that happened, when a engineer tried pulling off a walker off the scanner, and he ended up getting seriously
Oof.
hurt. Um, our our protocol was ramp the
Mhm.
MR down enough to where you can pull off the device and then ramp it back up. I know it takes longer, but I think we all learned. And again, this was another one Tobias talked about, that at the end of the day, yeah, it's going to take a little longer to do. However, it's the safest way to do it,
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now,
not to take that chance.
I am never doing this. You know why? Because I've had, I do a lot of, not a lot, but I've done a lot of work on like cars and auto body, and um, you know, you're trying to pull on like a bolt that's stuck, your arm slips off, tool goes flying, or you break it and you smash your hand. Like I already know, like this, this is clear to me. You're pulling on that, even like the rope breaks off, you fly back, or the object pulls out, then goes back and smacks you in the face. Um, I
Yeah,
I would think of that. So I'm like, nah, I would never try to do that. I wouldn't even bother. But I've heard of techs pulling off supposedly a tech told me that they pulled off a cart, some kind of cart off the machine. Like they put
Really?
their yeah, I don't know what
Wow.
strength the machine was. I don't know if it was an open machine or a 1.5. It sounded like it was a 1.5, but some kind of
Okay.
cart. Supposedly they were able to pull it off by they put their feet against the machine, and I guess they pulled back and they were able to get the cart off just enough. And this was like in the early days when
Huh.
there was no MRI safety, and they used to have metal carts in the room. He said it used to be
Oh,
in the
yes.
room, and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I rolled it across the room, and it got a little too close, and it pulled. But yeah, he was so scared he didn't want to get fired, so he luckily he got it.
Sure.
I don't know, got it off.
Yeah. I'm, I'm wondering if it was just on the side, on the
Yeah, I
side of
think
the
it
bore,
was. Yeah,
and he just got
yeah, it was just
lucky.
kind of like on the side, probably, because I was like, "How the hell would he pull that off?" But
Yeah, because once it gets in that center bore,
it's over, huh?
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it
All
is.
right, here's another one. This is what is this? Like a cleaning buffer? The
Yeah, it looks like a
classic
bluffer.
buffer,
Yeah.
huh?
Yes. Oh my.
Let's see.
Unreal. Yeah, I've been hearing so many instances in the last month. It's just scary.
This was 3 weeks
Um,
ago. Yeah. Wow. This is crazy. And this is just what we're hearing. Imagine all the stuff they don't tell
yep.
us about. A buffer. Wow. Whose idea was it to let them do that? Wow. Yeah.
So when having a question for you, and this is a question for for the audience as well. Who do you clean the room, or do you have housekeeping clean your room?
Hmm.
Um, in
Yeah.
my department, we cleaned our room. We never had housekeeping come in and clean our room or clean the floor. That was all on us. Um, you know, mopping the floor, sweeping the floor, cleaning the table, everything, the trash, everything. We did all that as a technologist, just because we were all feared of the having a floor sweeper or something come into the room. So, but just curious on how many people use. Do you do it yourself, or do you have a cleaning crew that cleans your room? So it'd be interesting to find out how many people uh, either clean up themselves or have someone else do it.
Yeah. Comment that below. Yeah.
And this could save you from an instance. Obviously, here it looks like someone brought in the floor buffer that shouldn't have that shouldn't have done that, and now they had to either probably quenched or they had to ramp it down, and probably took them a few days to ramp back up. And wow.
Yeah. Yeah. For same with us. We clean the room. We don't have a cleaning crew. They just
Okay.
empty the trash cans outside of the room. That's about it. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, that's a good topic there too. Cleaning the room, and it's like, I
Yeah.
guess we have enough downtime at the hospital, but when I was at the outpatient center, we didn't really have whole lot of time, and I was looking at the walls and stuff, like where the IV, you throw your IVs and stuff in the little biohazard. Yeah, man, like
Oh
that
yeah.
wall right there. Apparently, everyone's just kind of after they stick someone, they just throw it in there, and they don't. I don't know if they realize, but freaking blood just splashing on the wall. So yeah,
All
all on the
over.
wall right there, and like side of the machine. So it's like I was suggesting that they gave us like some time to really. I mean, you wipe down everything every day, but I mean like really deep clean. They should like
Exactly.
close down for a while because it gets pretty bad from what I've seen. Yeah, I mean,
Agree. And working an outpatient too, you don't know. I mean, some of these patients that might come in, you don't know what
mhm.
what they have, uh, and either you're going to pick it up. I'm going to tell you a little story. I ended up getting Pseudomonas at a place that I worked 25 years ago. End up having 3 sinus surgeries
Wait,
due to it.
what is that?
And
Pseudomonas? What is that exactly?
Pseudomonas, it's a really nasty bacteria that got
Oh
into my sinus
wow.
walls. And you know ever since then, I've wore gloves on
Uh huh.
every patient and every time I go into zone 4, because you just don't know what you're going to pick up. So, but I end up having three sinus surgeries. They end up uh, doing a complete construction of my left sinus because it was just eating away the bone.
Jeez.
And so now I just have a mesh lining on my left side, and my right side was pretty much saved on the second surgery. But that was not a very fun surgeries to
Man.
have. So just that, for you guys that are out there, don't be afraid to wear gloves, or make sure you clean your hands really good,
Hmm.
before and every patient, because you just don't know what you can pick up. It's the stuff that you don't see that's
Wow.
going to hurt you.
And I notice, I don't know, working in the hospital. For those of you that don't know, I went back to the hospital. I'm not working in the outpatient anymore. And yeah, anyway, so what I've definitely noticed is that a lot of patients in the hospital are just dirty, man. They're dirty. Um, Most of them just wearing gowns. So it's like, who knows how well they're keeping themselves clean. I mean, they don't smell, they do not smell clean. Uh, and they're all on your coils, on the blankets, and pretty much naked, man, just the gown. And I'm like, wow. And but we clean a lot. We clean a lot, and we clean really good. And I've noticed that there more than anything anywhere else I've been. In the outpatient center, I'm gonna just keep it real with you guys, man. A lot of people didn't clean very much in the outpatient center. So
Agree.
it's, I understand it's busy, and you guys are like, oh, that patient wasn't dirty, and you just throw a blanket or whatever sheet, and you're like, that's fine. And it's like, no, man, you guys should be wiping down
That's
everything.
what, that's what I thought, working at the outpatient center. Oh, it's
Exactly.
everybody's clean, no big deal. And, three sinus surgeries later, don't go through what I went through. And like I said, I was on antibiotics for almost
Hmm.
5 years. So it's,
Isn't it like really common for like patients that go to hospitals to get like infections and like skin
absolutely.
skin problems? And yeah, so I don't know, like from the time I've been there, when I'm work, the mask mandate, there's no mask mandate. I haven't been wearing a mask, but I've noticed a lot of nurses there, they're all wearing a mask. And I almost want to put a mask on because I might, because man, the patients are just sick and they're coughing and they're just
They are.
dirty, and I'm breathing it in, I can smell it. And I'm just like, I don't know, I might be wearing a mask. I'm definitely wearing like long sleeves and stuff, because these
Right.
patients are just
That's
filthy,
a good
man,
idea.
and I don't want.
That's a good
Yeah, and
idea.
just hand sanitizer. But yeah, it's, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. You, like you said, like we scan homeless people that come in, and who knows what kind of
Yeah.
scabies. I don't even know. But yeah, that's another part of
It,
safety.
it's, it's, it's,
Yeah,
it's
it's
real.
real.
It's real. And, when I would go home, the first thing I would do, I would change, because I worked at, St. Joe's, which is a level 1 center, and we dealt with all
Hmm.
kinds of patients. And even at the VA, I would change before I would get home. And then I had two pairs of shoes. I had my hospital shoes, and then I had my real life shoes.
Hmm.
And I would not bring, because you can bring that stuff
Easy.
home just as well as anything. So, and share it with the family. And you don't want to be bringing this nasty stuff home and sharing it, especially if you have little ones at home as well.
Yeah, and I just thought about that too. I was looking at my shoes. I'm like, dang. I was like, exactly what you said. I was like, man, I'm gonna need a separate pair of shoes, and not, I don't know, not even bring them in the house. I just thought about that. Yeah, that's crazy. It's different. It's different. It's different.
Yeah, my wife and I did the same thing. We had a little thing in our garage, and we would take our shoes and spray the Lysol on them, and then we would leave them outside until we went to work the
Yeah.
next day.
Thanks, man.
You know,
That's a good tip.
yeah,
And the shoes, I think I'm gonna switch to a shoe I'm wearing a freaking like running shoe basically right now, and it's like a lot of mesh on there. I'm like, man, I think I gotta switch to more of like a leather, like something where I can wipe more of it down because it's I got this mesh. It's
Right.
probably just absorbing all this stuff in there. So that's like I don't know. Yeah,
It does. They don't. It
I
doesn't
don't
clean
know.
very well. I mean, you could throw them in the wash
Maybe,
machine
huh?
and pour some bleach on
Yeah.
them, but yeah, but it's you want something definitely that you can come home and like I said, Lysol was. I mean, we found that
Yeah.
Lysol was the best. Just spray the Lysol all over the shoes and the bottom, all over the shoes, and then we would just let them sit in the garage. And here in Arizona, it gets about 118 degrees here in the summer, so it's going to kill about just about
Yeah.
everything outside. So, um, but yeah, but just a cool tip for everybody.
That's a good tip.
You don't want to be bringing that stuff home.
Yeah, because
So
I could see somebody doing clinicals and they're like, "Oh, I have these shoes. I'm gonna wear these shoes, working in the hospital, but then I'm gonna go to the gym and then I'm gonna bring these shoes in my house." And it's like, it's probably not the best idea. But yeah,
no.
look, we got another one. This one's a little older. It looks like a few years ago. Another. Is this like a pain pump? Yeah,
Oh, IV pump.
IV pump machine
Looks like
thing.
it. Yeah, looks like an anesthesia
Yeah,
pump machine. Yeah.
dang. Those make me
Wow.
paranoid too, because I was like, they're like, oh, this is the MRI safe one. I was like, are you sure? Like, just checking it out. But yeah, that's another one that can sneak by somebody, and they're like, oh, this is it, because they look
Yes,
pretty much the same to me. I don't know the MRI one. I can't tell the
you do.
difference right now. I guess you.
And that's why it's important. Yeah, it's important. Put stickers on your stuff. Make sure that you know what's in your scanner. You know,
Mhm.
put the green sticker on or the yellow sticker for conditional, so it's your equipment. And if something is around your department that doesn't have a sticker on it, you need to
Yeah,
get it
because
out of
they'll
there.
like to. I know they like to take. They took ours a couple times on accident, and I was like, hey, bring
Sure.
that back. Oh, is this the? Let's see.
Yeah. They're expensive.
I think this is the one you were talking to me about before were on the show, the Shackled
Oh
Prisoner.
yes,
So, do you know this story?
yes.
Kind of know.
So what I heard um, was the prisoner was brought in fully shackled into the
Wow.
scanner. Um, yeah, and fully shackled. So their arms behind their back. So they didn't have any. You know, they couldn't defend themselves. Couldn't bring their arms forward to help block. I heard the patient went in there like a crash dummy and just kind of bounced around.
Wait, what?
The
Wait.
Yep,
So the shackles are enough to pull somebody in there like that? Just a wow. I
yep,
didn't
yep.
know that.
This was yeah. The inmate was I think the inmate was it was a female. She was I think about 105
Oh right,
pounds,
yeah.
and those shackles just sucked her in, and the person that was in there started screaming, and the COs were outside. Well, of course they heard screaming and hollering inside the scanner, so what do you think they did? They ran in there with their
Oh
guns
dang.
drawn. So which is another safety issue. So this one was really bad. I didn't hear what happened with the prisoner. The last I heard that she was in pretty bad shape.
Wow. That's crazy. The prisoner's gonna sue them.
Oh,
Wow.
absolutely.
That's dang.
Absolutely.
That sucks, man.
This whole thing could have been
This is the
prevented.
thing, like you're scanning that I have experience doing. Inmates, we scan them all the time. And yeah, I tell them, to take off the shackles, then they zip tie them or and
Right.
these guards, man, I would say like half the time they have no idea they have no idea what MRI is. They're just bringing them.
They
They'll
don't.
let you walk in there with the metal cuffs on. They'll walk in there. They have no idea. They have no clue. And which I kept pushing on management. I was like, hey, look, you gotta have them aware of what an MRI is before they get here. Let's send some
Right.
paperwork. Let's send them a video. We have a safety video. Have them watch that. Just give them something, anything. And they're like, yeah, you're right. They shouldn't just show up. And some of them will be confident and they'll be like, yeah. I know what this is. And then like 5 minutes later, they hear the machine. Wow, what's this? And it's like, I don't trust them at
You
all.
know,
Like unless it's a guy that I
no,
see very often. But the thing is that they rotate these
right,
guys, and like, oh yeah, they'll bring patients for a while, or they'll bring the inmates to court. So they all rotate. So it's not always the same person that consistently. So um yeah, I mean, we haven't we've had some incidents where the guard the tech was putting the patient on the table, and the guard kind of was creeping in, and the tech had to say, "Hey, stop," or someone else will yell from inside the room, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like, so it's like,
right,
it's like, ah, man, it's like they're trying to keep you safe, but at the same time, if something's happening, I told them like, "Hey, if a tech's getting attacked, what are you gonna do?" "Oh, I'm gonna take my belt off."
right.
And well, where are you gonna leave your gun though? You're just gonna leave it on the table? Like, so now you left a gun on the table. So I'm like, there isn't even a plan. I was like, they're assuming that nothing's gonna happen in that room. Um, so we're pretty
Yes.
much screwed on that over there. And hopefully nothing ever happens. But my idea was like, I'm like, one of you guys got to come in with nothing on you and just ready to go run in there just in case. But nothing's happened, so they don't feel the need to do that. So I don't know.
Well, well, I heard the new ACR guidelines that are coming out are really stressing about having institutions have a specific protocol just for inmates and security officers or police officers or the sheriff's
Good.
department. I know we had a specific policy for inmates that were coming into our area where one, if they had to be in the room, we had one that was completely undressed and metal free. That was in zone 3, and then the other officer would be in zone 1 or 2 that that did not want to change or have the metal on, but um, you have to have eyes
Yeah.
360 because they get curious, that curiosity where they say the curiosity
Hmm.
kills. um they get curious and, oh, that's kind of cool,
Yep.
and they start getting closer and closer, and they don't realize how strong this magnet is, and it takes a second, less than a second. And like that instance that I heard, I think it was in
Hmm.
Europe, Kwame, that the gun flew out of the officer's hand and went in the magnet and
Oh
got
yeah,
discharged.
yeah, yeah.
you know and that's
Yeah,
scary.
because anybody could have got
um
shot. The tech could have got shot. Imagine going to work
yeah,
getting shot at work. I never
right,
would think that would ever happen, but it's a possibility now. You can get shot
it
at
is.
work. It's
It
yeah.
is. Just take your time. It's not worth putting someone's life on the
Hmm.
line. I tell my students the same thing, and when we do our panel interviews, when students are looking at getting into the MRI program, and I let them know, and I'm very up and front and honest with them. I tell them, this is the one area in radiology where you could physically hurt or kill somebody. You have to be on your game the whole time. You can't get complacent, you can't get comfortable. You have to respect the magnet 24/7,
It's true.
365.
Yeah. Always, every day. You can't let your guard down, or you can't. You
Right.
literally can't.
And no, and Tobias does a great job. We had him with our school. He did a lecture about a year and a half ago on some of the tragedies and stuff and the numbers, and it's scary. We're very lucky to have Tobias
Hmm.
on our side with the safety stuff, and he did a lot of stuff for the VA as well. I remember working with him years ago, and how he developed the zones, and I thought that was just like the greatest thing. And it's
Yeah.
all of us as MR techs, we need to put safety as our
Yep.
priority.
For sure. And then you have
Wow.
this. This blew up on social media.
Wow.
It was everywhere.
Is this the
This is the
plug?
plug. This is the sex toy. Um Yeah,
Wow.
butt plug.
I haven't seen that's the first time I've seen the
Yeah.
image. Holy
Yep.
moly.
Apparently, this patient. This is what I'm hearing. On the internet. I'm reading. I don't know if this is true. But yeah, apparently it was a sex toy, butt plug, and the patient thought it was just made out of silicone. There's metal in there.
Right.
Patient went into the machine and shot up all the way to the chest cavity like that. That's crazy. So yeah, that's scary.
That is unbelievable.
Honestly, I thought this was fake for like days, but
Right.
people kept saying, "No, it's not
Mhm.
fake. No, it's not fake." I'm like, "What?" That just when you thought you've seen every every accident possible, you see this thing,
Right,
dude.
right?
A torpedo or something.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
imagine this.
That is
Imagine the speed that it went up there like that, though. It's like that's crazy.
that and go through the small bowel, through I mean, the large bowel, the small bowel, and then up. Oh my god. I mean, that's
They're lucky
just
they didn't die. I don't know.
crazy. Yeah, I'm looking for a if the patient had a perforation, and start just
Right?
bleed to death.
Hopefully the patient's doing okay. Yeah. It didn't hit
Yeah,
any
no.
major arteries or anything. I don't know.
Right.
Like,
And like we were talking about earlier, and again, I don't know what happened with this instance. When we screen our patients, and I, we go over this in great detail with my students. Is as long as you do your due diligence, you screen them, you do the original screening, and then before you get to have them get into zone 4, you do the
mhm,
second screen just to kind of jarred their memory again. Maybe sometimes they'll forget, and I've had many instances where patients will forget, something that we originally talked about, and then they'll remember right before we get in the door. I'll never forget this patient uh, that we had. He checked no
mhm,
on everything, and we get him in the in the MRI wheelchair. We start going into zone
mhm,
4, and I'll never forget my lead because I would do the original screen, or my lead would do the original screen, and then we would do the second screen. We would trade off depending on who was putting the
mhm,
patient on the table. And I was at the scanner and did the first screen. He said no. As my lead was bringing him into zone 4, she did the second screen. He still
hmm,
said no. And while she was getting things ready to go, she's like, what's that scar? I noticed a scar
mm,
on your head, a big scar. And he's like, oh yeah. He goes, man, I completely forgot. He says, when I was younger, I was in a really bad boating accident, and they put a
Whoa.
staple in my head. And we are like, so
Mhm,
we got him back into zone 3, and he didn't have any skull x-rays or anything, so we ended up getting a skull x-ray on him, and he had a big huge aneurysm
Ah,
clip sitting at his
damn.
acom, and we would have killed him.
That would have been it.
But that would, and I mean, and we did this, and we did I mean, we did a double screen. um but that just tells you, even though you do the double screen, you just want to kind of take a visual of the patient. You want to look at some scars, especially on
Yep.
the skull.
Yep.
What I do is I'll do like a little pat down on their, if it's an inpatient and they're, if they're, a pore is storing or whatever, I'll kind of, pat their chest, make sure that there's no lumps or anything from a
Hmm.
pacemaker. I'll get the wand out, whatever. But, it's not a bad idea just doing a quick visual of the patient, because, this just shows you this one patient that we had, if it wasn't for my lead, noticing um, that patient would have went in there, and we probably would have, you know, he would have been hurt or even
Wow.
killed. So
Oh, I wanted to. Yeah, I wanted to bring another. The visual thing is definitely important, and yeah, sometimes you see like yeah, I've seen that. I think last week I saw that too. A guy had a scar on the side of his head. Same thing. He didn't have any implants or anything. I think it was an incident where they had to like do some kind of drainage from a trauma injury. But yeah, you
right,
can but he didn't even mention it. He's like, oh, that happened when I was like younger, blah blah blah. But yeah, definitely. Even something as I was gonna scan somebody on the trailer. He came in and he was wearing like the scrub, the pants and the gown. And I was like, hey, it says you have some screws in your leg, metal in your leg. He's like, oh yeah. And they lifted up his pants and he had a whole prosthetic leg, like just below his knee. I was like, what the hell? He wasn't gonna tell me about that. I was like, what? Yeah. So
Wow.
I was like, what the heck? So even just asking like, oh, what are those? I even ask all the time, even though if I kind of know what it's gonna be, even if they're like, oh, it's metal in my leg, I'm like, what
Right.
kind? Like, what did they do? So I always
No,
ask, even if the questions are boring and it's the same stuff. I still
absolutely.
ask, you know, like, oh, you have a stent? Oh,
I know it seems
what kind of
between.
stent? Heart
Yeah.
stent? Oh, okay. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I know
Mhm.
it's redundant, but I mean, that's part of
Mhm.
our job. You know,
Every now.
again, don't just do your due diligence. Make sure you do everything you can, and as long as you're not negligent, um, you know, don't take that chance of being
Mhm.
complacent, because that's when it's either going to be, it's going to bite you in the back, or it's going to be detrimental to the patient. So, or
Yep.
even you, as we found out with that one
Yeah.
ICU bed. I mean, going into the magnet. Oh man, I still can't get over
I
that
can't
picture.
either. I know. Have you ever seen anything like that? Have you ever seen a bed like that in there, like an ICU bed? Does that
I've
happen?
I've seen pictures, but not in that
Yeah.
magnitude. I mean, that's horrific. I just can't imagine the force, and the noise, and the violent sounds of that bed just kind of sounding like a beer can
Yeah.
crushing.
Imagine. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Imagine they could do that like as a demonstration. I've seen little demonstrations of like chairs and stuff, but imagine this show they can
Right,
show that how the bed went in there like that and just show like how much force and like how loud and like
right,
yeah, just imagine everything. Like it was probably like a tree falling down or I wanted
right,
to bring up something. Okay, so like um at my outpatient center, our protocol, somebody that um, has a reaction to contrast or GAD, they would give them like a pre-allergy treatment, right? Um,
right,
yeah, so like I don't know, man. Someone else, a tech told me at their center they had an incident where a guy came in, took the pre-allergy treatment, and then had a bad reaction. And I was like, wow. So it's like, I was like, what kind of reaction did he have before? Was it just like itchiness, hives, that kind of thing? He's like, no,
right,
he had really difficulty breathing, had to go to the hospital, all this stuff like that. So I was like, wow. I mean, I don't think it would have, I don't think it was a good idea to give him contrast again, especially in the outpatient center. If the reaction was that bad, severe, and I guess
agree,
so. Basically, he went to
agree,
the hospital twice. He even with the pre-allergy, he went to the hospital twice. So I was like, I don't think that was a good idea. Like, I've only had a couple of those situations, but I remember the radiologist would be like, no, we're not gonna give him contrast again. He went to the hospital. Like,
right.
so did you guys have like a protocol like that, a standard, like, oh, yeah,
Yes, that's a great question. I can only remember two instances where we absolutely had to give the GAD. Patient had history of anaphylaxis with
hmm,
the GAD, um, but we had resources. We had
yeah,
anesthesiology
there you
down
go.
there.
Hmm.
Okay, we had cardiology down there, and obviously we prepped them. We gave them the
Hmm.
steroids. All the protocol medications that they wanted to use, and the patient would go in and they would be intubated, and on being supportive, by the anesthesiologist, and they were successful, fortunately. So,
Nice.
but again, yeah, if I was in an outpatient center and I knew the patient had anaphylaxis, and I didn't have support, like, from nursing or whatever, I'd be a little
Yeah.
nervous. I don't know if I would want to, you know, rock that boat, because, you just
Yeah.
don't know. Sometimes you might get lucky. Sometimes they're going to have, even a worse
Mm.
reaction than the original one. And I don't know how many reactions that you've been in with Kiwami, but they go down really fast, especially with the Gatto reactions.
Yeah.
We've had a couple. I remember patients. I mean, they go down
Mm.
quick. It's amazing. Like minutes. You inject it, you come back, and their eyes are swollen shut. They can't
Yeah.
breathe, and you're calling a code. 5 minutes later.
Yeah. I've
So
only been in, I think, two where it was like 911. Yeah, it's pretty scary.
yeah,
Both times they came back, we got them what they needed. But yeah, for sure, it's kind of scary because I remember I took over. I took over for somebody, went to lunch, and I was like, "Cool." I sat in, gave him contrast, gave him I gave him the emergency
right,
button. Thank God they didn't have it. I gave it to him. Whatever, went back, just kind of chilling, and I was, I'm just there and just on my autopilot, scan mode. I'm just like, "Hey, you doing okay?" Just like I always do. It's just like you don't really want to do it, but you're just like, yeah, they're probably fine.
sure,
But hey, you doing okay? Nothing. They didn't say anything back. I was like, that's weird. Hello, hello. Nothing. I was like,
yeah,
maybe I should go check. Sometimes I'm like, oh, they're probably just sleeping. But I was like, I just gave him contrast.
right.
Maybe I should go check. This guy is just like gasping for air. I'm like, oh my god.
No,
So I take
no,
him out, and I'm like, I told him right away, I'm like, call the code, call the code. The other tech runs in. He's like, what's going on? I was like, dude, he's having trouble breathing. Really? He's just like, oh man. I'm like, go call the code. I had to tell him like 3 or 4 times because he was kind of like in shock too,
right,
because he's like doing all that. And I'm like, oh damn, this guy's gonna die. And then they call the code, and they give him what they needed. But yeah, it sucks, scary
scary,
moment, and nobody wants to deal with that, especially in an outpatient center. We never see
right.
any. There's never any codes, like you know. But I was like, we needed it, we needed that for everyone to be like, oh damn, we got to be on our game. We have to know what to
Right,
do, and um. But yeah, it's funny how people panic. You just never know how you're gonna react, right? But just it's funny. Code red. You're
yeah.
like, it's not a fire.
They can,
Code red. Call it doesn't matter.
right,
Get somebody down here. Go. Yeah, it's hilarious saying the wrong
exactly,
names and stuff.
exactly.
But yeah, I feel like in the hospital, the
Uh,
nurses are ready for that, and they deal with that all day.
right.
And so it's nothing to them. But somebody in the outpatient center, it's like, oh my god, like, you know,
You're
yeah,
on your own.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, it did happen. Oh, I want to shout out the Zone 3 podcast, man. Really awesome podcast. And they have really good guests on there all the
yeah.
time. But yeah, if you guys go, check their channel out, subscribe to them. But yeah, man.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Reggie and Robert. They're
Yeah.
they're awesome.
Yeah.
The team.
Awesome.
So
Um, I am looking to get on there. We've been talking, so you guys can look out for that. That should be cool, man.
cool. I'm excited about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I just did one on shoulder imaging, the clock face method. So that's going to be coming out really soon. So
Oh, that's
check it
awesome,
out.
man.
And then Kwame will have to do something on the clock face method as well for your
Oh yeah, for
show.
sure.
I have a feeling this is going to be a big deal with shoulder imaging down the road. So
Cool. Yeah, sounds interesting. But yeah, also about your book, you're running a new
yes,
cell, right? And you have the digital book coming out.
yes, yes. So exciting stuff. So for today and for the next
Hmm.
30 days, I'm going to run a special on my book, 20% off. Use the promo code MAN2, MAN, and the number 2. If you purchase the book, we're going to do a drawing after 30 days. And if we draw your receipt, I'm going to refund all your money back and you'll have a free copy.
Nice. Guys,
So,
go ahead and do that. Go get that book.
yes.
Um,
And the e version, we're hoping to have out in 3 weeks or so. So, You'll be able to download it on your iPhone, your tablets, computer, whatever you have
Hmm.
handy. I've seen the preview of it, and it looks really, really good. Pretty excited about it. So we'll have to catch up again, Kwame, and let everybody know when that
Oh
new
yeah, yeah.
version
We'll
comes
we'll
out.
we'll have a we'll check that out. We'll do a review on that. But yeah, so I got some questions from the followers, a few random questions, and we'll answer them, man. So yeah, the first question
Awesome.
is, we'll both give this a shot. So yeah, if not MRI, what else would you be doing, or would you be interested in doing? I guess as a career, Doug.
You know, I love
Hmm.
teaching, um, but my big passion in my life is golf. So if I wasn't doing this, I'd be trying to be a professional golfer.
PGA, that's awesome. Yeah,
PGA, yes.
cool. For me, it would. I'm gonna say two things. It would be something to do with like the entertainment business, like along the like kind of like not in front of the camera, but like backstage stuff, like video editing and stuff like that. Music editing, producing, that kind of stuff. Um, it would be that, and then if that didn't work out, I was gonna be a plumber, or plumbing or electrician. Honestly, that's what I would, that's what I would go for because I enjoy doing it, being outside, problem solving, and it's just one of those jobs where there's gonna be work, and that would probably be what I would be doing, man. To be honest with you. Okay, another one.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. No, I think you do a great. I think you do awesome in the editorial and entertainment scene there,
yeah,
Kwame. I mean, you do a great job with your show with this, with MRI Man. This is just a phenomenal show. I get excited every time you have something new that comes
awesome,
out. So
man. Yeah, I want to try to keep it going though. But yeah, I was gonna go to this some film school in Hollywood. I think that was like my top three schools, and I was just gonna see where that takes me. Like, because like in high
cool.
school, I was building sets and doing all kind of like sounds, lighting. I was anything like that. It was just cool. I thought that was always fun.
Right.
Um,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Here's another question. It says, "Do you actually like your job? Do you like the field?" I'll let you answer that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I really do. It's just there's challenges all the time. This is a field where I feel, and this is just my opinion, that I can always learn something every day. And if it's even for my students, I'll learn something. Just a quick thing what they do, or from a 30-year tech. You can always learn something if you keep your
Mhm.
mind open, and that's why I think with MR, in the future with all these new things that are coming out with AI and stuff, it's just a constant learning thing. And if you like to be challenged and you want a great career, this is
Mhm.
it.
And yeah, I also love my job, and I'm going on, I don't know, 6.5 years or so, and I still love it, and I'm still learning, especially switching to the hospital environment. And I'm open like that. I don't get mad if somebody knows something more than me, or if they're trying to tell me something, how to do
Right.
my job better. I always listen. The younger me would be like, "Oh, you can't tell me anything," and this is why, But now I listen, and I get challenged by everybody, other techs, nurses, doctors, and they'll ask me a question. They'll be like, "Oh, why don't you know that?" I'm like, "You're right. I don't know. I don't know that," and I'll just go look it up and study it. Like somebody was trying to tell me, like, "Oh, do you really know how a pacemaker works?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think it does this." Oh no, it doesn't do that. I'm like, they're like, "Well, you're going to be dealing with them and turning them off and on now." Apparently, with Medtronic, they're like, maybe you should look into it and see how it really works instead of just throwing it on their heart and all right, see you later. And like, so
Right.
I'm like, wow, yeah, maybe you're right. So then I started like reading up on it. Um, so yeah, I like the challenge, and I like how we're continuously learning. It's like we're almost like little doctors out here, man. I mean, sometimes we know more than the doctors about certain things, because there's the referring doctors are don't specialize in anything. But I mean, if you're scanning brains all the time and you're looking at these images, you're reading the reports, you're able to almost read a lot of things too. You can see if there's tears, they had a stroke. So it's as
Right.
far as you want to take it, and people do notice your knowledge of things, just that you will get recognized by your manager or supervisor. They know, even if they don't tell you all the time, they know, like, hey, this guy knows his stuff. Like every time we ask him a question, he's really thorough, and everybody sees that. So that's what I like, that you can continually build your career and gain more respect, and move up as far as you want to take this. Anyone can be the
Absolutely
next
agree.
Tobias, or Sherlock. Anyone can do it if they really have the drive to do it. um Protocols
Right.
were like, you're telling me about phase. I had a question on my Instagram. I showed a picture rapping. I'm like, which direction is it? Is this rapping in phase, or you know a frequency? Like, which way is it? Is it AP or right left? And like, half the people, more than half people, did not
Right.
know. And I was like, I put another survey out. I was just like, do you guys understand what phase direction is? Yes or no? Or I put another one that says, oh, I pretend that I know, but I really don't. And most people didn't know, man. So it's okay. And I didn't
It's
understand it
okay.
either for the longest. And I just kept asking and asking.
Right.
And then it clicks. It's confusing. Everything's really confusing, but you got to keep trying, and eventually it clicks. And then like, yes, the other day, yeah, I was building protocols, and I was like, damn, I didn't even think about it. I was like, hey, I can build protocols now. I was like, I didn't even think about it, but I've been doing it. I was like, I can literally do this. Like, you know what a high res image is, what your slice thickness is, what the neck should be, and like
Right.
literally just building protocols now. So I'm like, wow. And when I sometimes you gotta like step back, and like I remember just being a student and the guy telling me, he's like, yeah, you got to learn how to do this. And he was a protocol guy. He would come in and just set up protocols like lumbar spine, sagittal T2, T1. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, so now it's like I can do those things. And you guys, I try to not to don't be too hard on yourselves. Just remember where you started, man. And
Yes.
it's like you said, just
Agree.
continue to learn. Next thing you know,
Agree.
you're that guy. Everyone's asking you, hey, what is this? And little by little, can't learn it all in a day, man. It's impossible, right?
Agree.
Yeah. But okay, sorry. Let's get to the next one.
That's all right.
Oh, okay. What's the best? This common question every day. But what is the best way to study for the ARMRIT or ART?
Um,
I guess.
there's a few things out there. For my students, I do a 12-week review,
Hmm.
which is awesome. There's a really good book out there. It's MTMI. That's a really good resource.
Hmm.
Jim Coffin has a great resource on his website for some study guides just for ARMRIT.
Hmm.
So just go on his website and you can find those. They're on the where you go in and register for the exam. He can send you that. It's for to get you prepared. Um,
Cool.
either yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. I liked MTMI. That's what I used for when I took the ARRT.
Is that a book?
Yes, actually it's digital now. It used to be a
Oh,
like
okay.
a 12 module book,
Hmm.
and it went over everything from start to finish. And
Okay.
now it is available electronically now.
All right. What is advice for a new tech working amongst experienced techs?
Soak it in. Um, learn as much as you can because you're going to develop your own workflow. Um, and just listen. One big thing is just listen. Um, be a sponge. Take all what they're telling you, and again, if you do that, and develop your workflow, you're going to be just as good as any one of those experienced techs that are out there.
Great advice. Yeah, that's how I feel now. Take advantage of working with experienced techs. Ask the questions, because you'll find that a lot of them will like to pass that information, because
Yes.
it makes their job easier. If you're there and you know everything that they know, it's going to be better for everyone, better team.
Right.
And I think early in my career, it was really annoying because a lot of people were telling me stuff. I was like, God damn, why is everyone telling me? But that's actually a good thing, because they were trying to teach me and they were sharing their knowledge. But you can't take it as, oh, I'm doing everything wrong and I know how
Right.
to do it my way. It's like you're still developing your own style. And I think it's good to learn everybody's style, because um, there'll be times, there's a guy that likes to cut everything. He's like, oh, I like to make my scans faster. And there's a guy that likes to make everything look good. And so it's like you got to know both, different
Right.
situations. One day you may be on a nice scanner and they're like, hey, we need to impress this orthopedics doctor, make these
Right.
the best knee. And then that's all they'll tell you. And like, oh, all right. Or then you might come in and be like, hey, you know what? This is where our outpatient, we're going in this direction. Can you do a 12-minute scan? You're like, oh yeah, sure. That's what you guys want. Yeah, that's what we want. So then both. And then yeah, that, and then like I think we talked about it before, positioning patients.
Yes.
Um, that's what I like to watch people do, because I'm always trying to figure out like better ways to position um, patients. And oh, there was this one cool trick that I learned. There's this GE coil. I'll try to put a picture when I edit.
Okay.
Basically, it comes apart. There's like a bottom part base, and then there's a
Right.
head part. It just slides in like that, covers the patient's head. Um, and there's no ramp, right? So
Right.
in a quick, and this is a guy that he's like a facilitator. I guess he's a tech
Right.
aide. He was like, oh, just slide that off, and we put some pillows under the patient's head because they're kind of like kyphotic, and then we
Right.
just slid the so we took the base out, put some pillows under him, and we just slid the base under his head, and it was just like, it was
That's
perfect.
awesome. That's a
Yeah,
great idea.
it was
What a
freaking
great
great.
idea.
Just in a
Wow.
pinch, because the guy was like, he had a stroke.
Right.
We were like, dude, we got to get this going. We don't even have time. We already we
Right.
propped his legs up with some pillows, and it's still, we needed a little more, or propped his butt up, But yeah, we did that. So just like little moves like that, I was just
Yeah.
like, man, it just makes you a better tech. Like, because the goal, is, yeah, you got to scan them, but at the same time, you got to get them in the machine. If you can't
Right.
get them in the machine, you can't scan them. So learning
Exactly.
all those position with the pads and every little thing, man, it's like, it's cool. I like that, man. But
No, that's awesome.
and then okay, it says which book to be referred to learn MRI. So what's a good book to learn MRI, man? The first thing I think about is your book, man,
Yes,
for sure. So we're gonna have
definitely.
Doug's book. Um, is awesome, dude. It has all the scan planes you need,
The
protocols,
anatomy,
tips,
the anatomy and
anatomy.
tips. Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want to, the newer techs that are out there, that was one of the questions is, how do I work with the experienced techs? And I'm working a lot with my students with it is, if you understand on how to set up position, how to set up your slices, and it also has the techniques in there, I mean, you're going to look like a rock star. So, and then just
Mhm.
obviously after that, it's just repetition, but there's things in there that you usually don't do all the time, like those clavicles and scapulas and stuff like that, and cardiac. I mean, it has it all. So, um, and
Yeah.
safety. It has a separate section just on safety, guys. So, um, you know, we're talking a lot about safety today, and there's things in there that will help you and help your department, like with drills and stuff like that. So check it
Hmm.
out.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. So let's see. Have you ever thought about opening your own clinic? I guess imaging center. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I there was a two guys that I knew that did open up their own, and just to watch how they struggled, just because you have the big, like the Banners and the Simons and the Radnets and stuff like that. It was really difficult for them to
Mm.
get providers to go with them versus having the providers used to going to all these other places. So um, yeah, if you have the resources and you have the followers, it definitely that'd be kind of cool. But I just saw a lot of the struggles that they went through and end up not being successful. So
Man, yeah, it seems like it would be really stressful. And just at the place I'm at, the outpatient, they're always talking about, oh, we need our numbers are not high enough, and I'm just like,
right,
I wouldn't want to
it's
sit in any of
all
those
about
meetings as
numbers,
an owner.
all
Yeah,
about the numbers and
I
insurance and dealing
man,
with all that. It's just
reimbursements. Yeah,
oh yeah, fighting with that.
I think I would be more interested in like maybe help constructing, building it, where to put the machines,
Right.
get an old machine, put it in, and then just flipping it, like selling
Yep.
it. Like, oh, I put whatever 300,000 into this or 500,000, and now it's selling for 1.5 or something. Like, I
Right.
think that I would be more interested in that. Like, I don't think
Maybe,
I would.
maybe
Yeah,
you're coming up with some flipping MRI facilities.
yeah, dude. You find
No,
like this is how you
maybe
do
that
it.
one comes, right? Flipping
You get a
houses will flip MR to flip
yeah,
MRI to
that'd be a good show too. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, just like, okay, imagine some guys like, oh, I'm getting rid of this G, I'm gonna just recycle it, and
Right.
like, oh, let me buy it for like 200, put in some outpatient center, um yeah, and just construct it like that, and then get like an x-ray and ultrasound, and just sell it
Yeah.
to a group of rads or something. I don't know, but
Flip it.
I heard one guy did that, so I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, the only other thing I would do, Hyperfine has these portable MRIs, and I'm like, hey man, if I can buy a van and drive around and I don't know, go scan some brains at a neurologist's office, just roll it in. I don't know if it ever get the technology gets there and the scans get a little better. Yeah,
Right.
I'd do that. Just pay me cash,
True.
give me like
It's true.
250 a
There's
scan or
so
something.
there's so many things out there.
Yeah.
You just gotta be creative and you gotta think outside the box. And if you
Hmm.
really want it bad enough, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
I put the MRI Man logo on the side of the van and just
there you go.
drive around, go scan celebrities' heads or something.
There you go.
I don't know. They'll pay,
You
like
never
there's
know.
people that'll pay for those kind of things.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, oh, I have a
Absolutely.
headache. Can you just get a quick scan on me? And they're like millionaires. They're like, all right, yeah, $1,000
Go
bucks.
go to Beverly Hills and just go up and down Rodeo Drive. Man, you
Hmm.
probably do 20 patients a day.
Yeah, easy. And then like, oh, I'll give them an IV with like vitamins. I don't know,
Yeah,
stuff like that. They'll pay for it. So yeah, like you said, there's a market for it. You market it right.
exactly.
All right. Is it? Let's see. Is it worth waiting on the waiting list for a radiology program?
For today, for how everything's going today, absolutely.
Hmm.
Radiology is going in such really positive directions. And again, if there's a wait list, some of the schools you can go to like a community college and start taking like some of the classes that you're waiting for, and maybe
Hmm.
get ahead of the game,
Hmm.
taking like your written communication, your oral communication, stuff like that, an algebra class, get all that stuff done like your prerequisites. And then by the time you get through the wait list, you're ready to go, and it maybe shorten your program.
I agree. I mean, there's that route, or you go the vocational school route, the private
Yeah.
school.
Yes.
Those are the options. But it's whatever works for that person, I guess.
Exactly.
But it's definitely worth the wait. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
I guess you can also move to another state. I mean, it's kind of tough, but there's
Right.
certain colleges. I guess the program's open, maybe cheaper. I've heard of people doing that.
True.
Some of these big cities out here in California, there's waiting lists, and it's hard to
Oh,
get into. Yeah, but we're definitely in need of technologists. That's for
We are.
sure.
Yes, agree.
Um, You know, I want to bring something else too because I'm gonna just keep talking about it all the time because it's ridiculous. I think it's just California, man. There's some hospitals where they require you to have a California rad tech license, like basically an X-ray license to work in a hospital. But even though you're in that hospital, you will only be doing MRIs,
I
and
know.
it's been a problem, and they actually are having a lot of problems hiring technologists because a lot of people don't have CRT. They just
No.
have, and a lot of the X-ray techs don't know MRI or don't want to do MRI or they're retiring. And there's this hospital not too far from me, and they've been hiring travelers, or in this case, they haven't been able to hire anybody. And it's like, why don't they change it? And I think Kaiser's actually one of them in California. They will not hire an tech, MRI tech, with a just the ART or the armlet. I think that's got to change.
That has to change.
There's some other guy. Yeah, it's got to change. And this guy told me, I forgot which hospital it was, but he was telling me that they fought for it. They went to court. They did all this stuff to change it to override that rule.
Right.
To me, I rather have a guy that specializes in. I gotta have a couple of those guys that specialize in MRI that are just that's what they do. That's all they do. And then it's nice
Right.
to have. I know it's nice to have those guys that cross train and they can cover, but you gotta have a guy that went to school for this.
I'd rather have someone that actually went to
I,
school
my
specifically for that
business, yeah,
experience.
eh, yeah. And I wish there's a study on where these accidents are happening. I
Right.
was like, hey, what kind of tech was that? A cross trained tech, or I'm
Or
just
did they
curious,
or did they go to school? That would be, that would be
Yeah.
a great thing to do is finding out if half these instances that happen, if it is it, were they cross trained or did they actually go to school? That'd be um
Hmm.
yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. Because I've got a place, and there was someone there. She was an X-ray tech, and she didn't know anything. She was cross trained, but she's like told me, she's like, I've been doing this for like 3 years, but I don't. She's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know anything. Like, I know nothing. She just comes on
No.
here, sets up a block of slices, and it's like 10 minutes long, and you're just like, what are you doing here? Like, and there, she's like, yeah, I got lucky. I'm here, grandfathered in, blah blah blah. And
Right.
I'm just like, this is freaking nuts. And there's nobody to train her, and
They end up being
that's just
button
how they
pushers.
run.
They end up
And I'm
being
just
button
like,
pushers.
wow, that's scary to me. I was like, people coming, and that's the thing that sucks. As a patient, patients don't have no idea what they're paying for. Like,
Right.
they can get the same for the same price. They can go to a place that has a 3T, or like techs that know about protocols, or they can go to some other rinky dink place where there's just like images are trash. It's crazy.
Right.
So it's like there's that too. Some
No, you're
patients
right.
know a little bit because they have a specialist doctor, and they're like, no, you got to go to this 3T.
Right.
But 90% they have no idea.
No, they don't have an idea.
I don't know if that's
Getting back to the the cross training versus the school, I just
yeah.
there has to be a way to find out if these instances are happening.
Hmm.
Just a shout out there if anybody can you know do some research on that, that would be interesting to find out what's really happening. If it's I'm a big believer. Education
Yeah.
is key. And if you're going to do MRI, you need to go to school. You need to have that schooling behind you because there's so many things that are happening when you're a student in a school versus just doing that 6 week cross training thing. That I hear
Hmm.
about time and time again. And I understand it. I get it. That's how I was trained. We didn't have schools back in those days, but
No, no.
um, mine was a 6 month ordeal, and it was very vigorous. But at the end of the day, um, I'm so glad that there are schools out there because number one, you get to spend time on that. Most important critical part, as we know, is safety,
Hmm.
and the physics, and more than likely, and more of anything is the anatomy. I can't tell you how many times I've seen where people have cross-trained and they don't know their cross-sectional anatomy, and
They
you're going to be
struggle.
missing stuff. Pathology will be easily missed. And at the end of the day, the patient's going to suffer.
Yes, I
That's just
agree.
my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
So
It's a bunch of mixed opinions. A lot of the people that had to do X-ray first, they're really salty about it, and they're like, "Oh,
I
well."
know.
I'm just like, it's two different things, man. But they're like, "Yeah, but as an X-ray tech, we have more knowledge on the anatomy." I'm like, "No, you don't. Like, no,
No,
you don't,
I'm
dude.
an
You guys
X-ray
are
tech.
looking at bones, man."
I'm an
Yeah,
X-ray tech. My
yeah,
background's X-ray,
yeah,
and it was a culture thing for me when I got an MR. And
yeah.
I also did CAT scan too,
Mm.
and you know, understanding the anatomy, especially in some of the body parts, whew, I mean, went right over my
The
head. You know,
I bet that's a big change. I feel like the CT techs do better in MRI getting cross
agree,
trained. I feel like they do a
agree,
lot better.
agree.
They mess with the injectors. They do see anatomy, and the thing is with them is they don't really angle. I know they post process stuff, but they typically
Right,
don't angle much, right? It's
right.
usually just like a
It's all two dimensional. So
blocked,
they're
yeah.
unless they're
Hmm.
doing some multi-planar or NPRs or whatever. Yeah, everything's you
Hmm.
start it at one point and you end at one point, and you drag the slices down and let the scanner do its thing, and um,
But
you know
yeah,
but they I do agree. They have a better understanding.
a little better, yeah. The X-ray checks, that's a tough. I feel like that's a tough transition.
It is.
Right, it's a tough one. I mean, it's possible, but oof, yeah, it's gonna take somebody at least a year to get
Oh, at least.
pretty good, at least, right, to get decent, and then they're gonna keep pulling them back to X-ray.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just like, I don't know, you guys, you got to be there. And then I've even seen some that do MRI once a week, and they just struggle the whole day. The whole day they're stressed. They're just like,
Yeah.
what do I do? I'm just like I'm like, I wouldn't want to do that.
No.
Like, I just
No.
want to get it at one thing right now.
That's a safety thing waiting to happen.
Yeah, and they have all kind of problems, callbacks, the whole day. They're just asking
Yeah.
questions, and I'm just like, wow, it's like that sucks. But then they know how to do CT, X-ray. As a company
Right.
standpoint, they're like, oh, we need you like to just be everywhere. But that's a tough one.
It is.
But but yeah,
That's how
man.
it was when I first started, the multimodality thing. And it's coming back too. The multimodality thing is coming back. And
Oh man.
I did, when I was out there, I did X-ray, CT, ultrasound, um, MR, a little bit of nuke med, and
Mhm.
it was challenging,
Man,
when you're bouncing around back and forth. It
that's
was
gotta
not
be tough.
easy. It was not easy. And getting back to that point, you can't be proficient and get at that expert level if you're floating around everywhere.
Yep, it's true. Things changing all the time. They come back and we're like, oh, we don't do that protocol anymore. And they're like,
Right.
what? I'm like, nope, that's
Nope.
old. But yeah, man, we covered a lot. We covered a lot. I feel like this is a really good episode.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Man,
I man, I love I love being on your show. Thank you for having me, and hopefully we can do this again and
yeah,
talk talk some good stuff. But so thank you again. Thank you for everybody that's hearing this today too. So
yeah. Go ahead, subscribe. Check out Doug's book. We got I'll put all the information below. And also the discount code. We'll put it down below. MRI man. No, what is it? Man two.
it's man too.
Man two. Man two. Save it. All right. But yeah, we'll catch you guys later. Man, it was a great time, great episode, and we'll do it again, Doug. Everybody.
Thanks, Kwame.
That's it.
I appreciate it. You
Later.
guys have a great day.
Peace.
Cheers.
All right. Later.